Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life has finally released and has already consumed way too much of my time. Seeing as this is a remake of a game that is 20 years old now, it is obviously going to have some trouble fitting into our modern standards of games. Instead, I want to focus on how well the remake is faithful to the original. But before we do that, I want to check out this cool booklet inside straight from our friend Takakura. Here he has a cool little guide on your new farm life and the people you can expect to meet in Forget-Me-Not Valley. Oh, I guess it's called Forgotten Valley now. Okay, I guess. Looking through this shows that we have a couple of new faces. Like, who the hell is Matthew? Looks like this is supposed to be Marlin from the Another Wonderful Life game, which was the female protagonist version of A Wonderful Life. I won't bore you with a list of all the name changes, but I think it's worth mentioning this was likely done to make their names more accurate. In addition to the name changes, the remake adds a great number of quality of life improvements, the biggest of which is allowing you to choose your pronouns at the beginning of the game. This choice also doesn't affect who you can marry, so everyone gets the same experience regardless of their choice. Switching between tools and items in your inventory is also super snappy and seamless compared to the original. Instead of a stamina indicator in the form of your character looking exhausted, we instead get a stamina bar at the top left. While I kind of miss the charm of seeing your character slowly get exhausted as you work, this makes knowing what your stamina is at any given moment a lot easier. They also added more information in the form of menus that show things like your affinity level with villagers and the health of your animals. These little quality of life improvements may seem minor, but as anyone who has played an older game can tell you, they do wonders to improve the experience. The character models also look a lot like the originals. Most of the changes make them look more modern, with some looking completely different. The animal designs also had a bit of an overhaul in design. I honestly prefer the newer models though. The original leaned too heavily into making the models look realistic, while the newer models focus on balancing realism with its cutesy art style. The cows are a perfect example of this. They could have went for the more cutesy art style of the modern titles, but they instead made the newer models look cuter while still looking semi-realistic like the older titles. The chickens, on the other hand, lead more into the cutesy art style, which I'm glad they did. I think the chickens in the original title tried too hard to look realistic, looking even creepy in my opinion. Anyways, while the art from this game is a bit different from the original, I still think the changes were necessary and make the experience as a whole a lot better. The animations, on the other hand, could use some work. A lot of the time, they look very robotic when moving around. A good example of this is how the characters will push each other out of the way instead of changing their walking path. While this would be expected in an older game, this just looks out of place in a modern title. Their animations for other things also seem lazily copied and pasted or just poorly done overall. A great example of this is the Starry Night Festival, where this is apparently considered dancing. I can't dance for the life of me, but even I know that this is not what dancing looks like. If this was intentional to keep the game faithful to the original, then why would they bother changing the character models? I feel like if you're going to go through the effort to modernize everyone's designs and even names, you could at least go through the trouble of making them move a lot better. Looks like this laziness could also be seen in how level of detail is handled in the environment. Here you can practically see the circle around your character where the level of detail is changed for the grass. This makes it super obvious where the level of detail line is and takes me out of the immersion a bit. This was likely done so it can run smoothly on the Switch, but I think this could have been done in a more tactful way. While I guess you could call this being a bit nitpicky, I feel like these small issues are important in a game that's practically 100% about its immersion. The gameplay feels very dated. The only addition they added was a request system where villagers ask for specific items in return for a reward. Some of these rewards include items that were previously only obtainable through events with specific characters. While they did tweak the dialogue a bit, they didn't do much more besides that. The characters in this game just feel so boring and repetitive. You can sometimes get unique dialogue if you talk to people after festivals or show them your tools, but that is pretty much it. Here you can see that I have Nami up to full hearts. You would think that she would have interest in the fact that I'm about to get married soon, but nope, she doesn't even acknowledge it. She acts just as rude and standoffish as when I first met her. I'm literally engaged to Cecilia and she still talks to me as if we met yesterday. While they may have done this to not stray from the original too much, I think adding a lot more dialogue would have done wonders to make up for the lackluster gameplay. A big part of the original appeal for this game was the fact that your life felt more alive. The focus was more on meeting the character, starting a family, and, well, creating a wonderful life. But if you want to hear more about the original, watch my series here where I will rank all the original Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games. I think the remake does its best to bring a dated game to a modern platform. Unfortunately, it is just that, a dated game on a modern platform. It clearly didn't set out to make a new or innovative experience. Its goal was clearly just to remake the Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life game under the new Story of Seasons name for modern platforms. That isn't some kind of negative dig at the game though. I've seen ratings in this game complain about this and not take into account the fact that the game probably isn't really meant for them. The inclusion of the little booklet and the accuracy of the game says to me that the game is clearly meant for fans who played the game as a kid. If you've played the original game or have been wanting to and are wondering if it's worth picking up, then I would say absolutely. For everyone else, I would just play Stardew Valley, honestly.